Okay, so let's get started. So, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining this presentation on leveraging the power of AI in faith-based communities. I'll go on to the next slide, which is to share the agenda for tonight. So, this is a small group presentation, and this will allow us to have more of a conversation style approach to the topic. With that in mind, please note that tonight I would prefer not to be the sage on the stage, but rather the guide on the side, meaning I'd like your participation as much as possible. I will share a bit about myself, as seen here, welcome and introductions. And I'm inviting you as well to use a bit of technology in the room with a system that's called Menti, and that will be what we'll be using for polling in the room. We'll then move quickly into a basic overview of some common terminologies or jargons so that when I make reference to them, you can have an idea of what's being said. I also want to point out that AI is not new and the capabilities have expanded, and so has the conversations about ethics. While this is not the focus of this session, it is important to mention it here as well. And please feel free to use the chat as a parking lot for questions around ethics that we may not have time to discuss tonight. And stay tuned for future sessions where we may make room for that. We will then move into some common generative AI platforms, and the chunk of our time will be spent in looking at opportunities for faith-based communities. And of course, we hope to have room for a Q&A. Please note as well that this is a beginner session. So if you are advanced, please see this as a refresher and as an opportunity to contribute your expertise as well while we converse with one another. Okay. So who am I? It's always good to say who is the person that's doing the facilitation. So this is the first exposure of AI that I'm sharing in this.
You can hear the news, but it's a T.
Okay, so this is the first. I'm going to ask for us to mute our microphones to avoid background interference. So this is a overview of who I am. And this was generated completely by ChatGPT. So what I did was I simply uploaded my resume into ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to create a 2-paragraph short bio about my experience. And so this is what ChatGPT generated. So that is ChatGPT's in work right here on the first slide. But in a nutshell, this is who I am. My name is Nikisha Linton. I love learning and teaching others what I know. Since this is a faith-based session, I must also mention that I do have church roles in my current church. I serve as a children's ministries director as well as a deaconess. I'm a lifelong learner and a lover of technology. I'll spend hours on figuring out technology and how it can be applied in various settings. That is a passion of mine. So now I'd like to just do a quick overview of who is in the room, who are the folks that are attending. And so what I have here on my screen is a Menti poll. And I'm just going to invite you to scan the poll. And when you scan the poll, please just text in the chat box or so if you've scanned it, if you can access it. You're going to scan that QR code rather, not the poll. And now you should start seeing the participant responses here on screen. So we're popping up here. So we have someone that's joining from Jamaica. So the goal here is to see where we're joining from. If you're not able to access it, you can go ahead and type it in the chat. It'd be great to see another AI tool at work. So this poll, it's via a system called Mentimeter. And again, how did I use AI here? The map that you're seeing on the screen was completely generated by ChatGPT as well. Okay. So I am going to move on. Please feel free to type your location in the chat box, just so we know who's in the room and where they're joining on from. I do know there are folks here from Canada, which is where I am hosting from as well. Okay, the next question that I would like you to engage with me on is, how comfortable are you with using generative AI? How comfortable are you with using generative AI? Don't be shy about this. Remember, this is a beginner's course, but I do know sometimes people have exposure to some topics, and we may have folks like that in the room as well. Yes, so seeing the response here, just waiting for it to appear. Just a minute here. Going in the wrong direction. Okay, so I am seeing a 1, that there's someone in the room that is very comfortable with using generative AI tools. I'm seeing Donovan saying he has never used AI in the chat. Okay, thank you. The person that said they're very comfortable, can you identify yourself? Just so I know who is comfortable. Is that Elrica, Garfield, any of those names? Clem? I really would love if you interact with me so I can know. I'm seeing it in the chat here. I've used AI before, so that's Garfield. Thank you. And you're very comfortable with using it. Is that correct? Okay, so we'll go on to the objectives for tonight. So by the end of this presentation, the goal is that participants would be able to define common terminology related to generative AI, discuss the ethical concerns of AI in faith-based communities, identify common generative pre-trained transformers, short GPT tools, state ways generative AI may be used to enhance ministry in faith-based communities, and access additional resources on the use of AI in faith-based communities. Awesome. So Garfield says that it helps him with his assignments and other stuff. Thanks for sharing that in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to move on to some common terminology as it relates to AI. So we are constantly exposed to AI in our daily lives. It's not new to us. When we're typing our text messages and it does that autocomplete, that's a part of AI. Google Home or Siri, the GPS, the smartwatches that we have, online banking, these are all aspects of AI. So artificial intelligence, and I've tried for us to get some really basic definitions because sometimes they can be too high tech. So artificial intelligence is the ability of a machine to perform cognitive functions as humans do, such as perceiving, learning, reasoning, and solving problems. It doesn't exist on its own. It's coded and programmed by humans. Okay. Generative AI, which has become quite popular, this language has become quite popular in the last year or so, is a branch of AI that focuses on creating new content, ranging from text and images to music and videos. This technology learns from existing data to produce original, realistic outputs that can mimic human activity. And keyword mimic. It's not human, it's mimicking it. Okay. Some other common, I'm just going to ask everyone to just mute. I'm not seeing the
symptoms tracker and talk to your healthcare
let me see.
The treatment of iron deficiency anemia.
Right.
Thank you. So some other definitions or common phrases or terms used with AI, especially with generative AI, are prompt. The prompt is really what you put into the AI for it to generate your output. So it's your way of speaking or communicating with the AI tool. So the better your prompt, the better your output will be. Then there is large language model, and this is like a big computer brain that has read a lot of books and articles, and then it learns how to talk or write like a human because it has seen so many examples. You can ask it questions or have it help you write and answer and provide answers based on what it has learned. So basically, it's scanning the internet, the web, all the resources up to, I think currently it's up to April 2023, and it uses that information to generate coherent responses based on what you've asked it for. Machine learning is like teaching a computer to learn from experiences. And so when you teach it to learn from experience, just like us, when we learn something, we get better at it. So it's the same with GPTs. The more they learn from what it has been fed, the more data is present for us to learn from, and it gets better at what it does. The other terminology that we may hear quite frequently is generative pre-trained transformer. And it's just the short for that is GPT, like Chat GPT. So the GPT, that's what this is referring to here. So in short, the G is for generative, which means that it has the ability to generate or create outputs. It's different from like Google when we go into Google and search for something, because in Google, the computer is operating like a search engine. But with generative data, what it's doing is it's creating new data for you based on what it has been fed. Pre-trained is that it has been taught with massive amounts of text from the internet. And transformer is really referring to the network for processing the human language and relationship between words and phrases. So those are just some of the common terminology. You don't have to remember them, just to give you a basic overview of some of the common jargons that are used at the basic level when it comes to ChatGPT. So one of the other things that I would like to know from you, and you can type it in the chat before we go into the next part of our conversation, is what are some of your concerns with AI? You can use the Menti poll again if you'd like, but what are some of your concerns as it relates to AI? From the little that you know or the much that you know, what concerns you? I'll go first. When I first heard about ChatGPT and what it could do, I I didn't want to embrace it because I felt like my brain would get lazy. I like thinking through things and I felt I become too dependent on it. Well, of course, with everything you can control how you use it, but that was one of my concerns. I'm seeing in the chat data privacy, and it's mentioned twice, which is a big thing for us today. Data privacy. Thanks for sharing that. So I'm going to go into the next section of our presentation, which is focusing on the ethical considerations. I came across this article and I found it quite interesting. And I'm seeing here from Angeli, replacement of humans in many areas. That's correct. So jobs are at risk as well. So on June 9 last year, a church in Germany had a complete service that was led by AI. The sermon was read by AI. The songs were selected by AI. The entire service was led by chatbots. And on the screen, you can see two of the feedback. On one side, on my right, based on how I'm looking, there's maybe a pro, positive, and on the left, someone shared their experience. So one said there was no heart or soul in the service. It was machine generated. They couldn't have human cues, no body language, and they were talking fast and so forth. So that was a con. The other person said they thought it would have been worse, but it was positive. But it worked quite well, and the language of the AI worked well, even though it was a bit bumpy at times. And the bumpy at times is important to note because I feel like it gets better as months go by. It gets better and better, becoming more human-like in its output. And so that is something to note as well. So I want us to think carefully about what is right and wrong when it comes to using AI. It does involve considering how the use of AI aligns with our values and our beliefs. It brings into account discussions about if AI is fair, how is it respecting privacy, and how will it not mislead people. The next slide here is just some of the main areas where ethics may become a concern, especially in faith-based communities. AI can be because AI is taking information from the internet. We know that the internet has a lot of information that is biased and discriminates. So if garbage gets in, garbage comes out. And so I'm a part of a few AI groups on social media. And one of the things that came out strongly with some of the creatives was that sometimes when they put in prompts for especially people of color, the AI tended to present them in ways that looks like they were gangs. So they would not be dressed as professionally as it would do for other people of other ethnic groups. So what that meant is that we had to be way more specific when we put the prompts in so that we generated content that was not showing a bias to a particular race or gender. So it does have that capability that it can come off as being biased at times. And as raised earlier in the chat, privacy and data security. It is drawing data from the internet. There's no one that's monitoring it. What if it accesses sensitive data without consent? How would that be dealt with? So these are real concerns. Transparency. When someone uses AI, for example, in faith-based communities, since this is where our conversation is, if a pastor, for example, has used AI for his sermon, should the pastor reveal that to the congregation? All these things are things that brings in the idea of ethics Moral and theological implications. Again, garbage in, garbage out. We always have to assess if it is aligning with the principles that are the foundation to our faith. And as with anything else, technology can be misused. I'll open up the floor for anyone who has anything to say on this point. Feel free to share what your concerns are. Okay, so I'll move on to the next slide. And the next slide is just really something that I'd like you to take away with you. And it's a question. How can faith-based communities establish ethical boundaries to ensure that the content generated by AI, such as sermons or educational materials, remain true to their religious teachings and moral values? What role should human oversight play in this process? And my final piece on ethics as it relates to this part of the presentation is AI, like anything else, it's a tool with tremendous upside potential for the church. And as faith leaders, we have to be prepared to use this powerful new resource for kingdom purposes. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the next section of our agenda. And here we're going to look at some of the generative AI tools that are available. And for those who are just joining, what we have been using, we were using Menti, which is it's a polling system that you can use. I'm seeing something in the chat here. Yes, it does hallucinate as well, Julie. That's correct. It can give errors as well. So that's something to consider. So these are some of the popular AI tools that I put together. And in the chat box, please type the ones that you are familiar with, that you have used personally. If you haven't used any, just simply say none. So please go ahead and do that in the chat. And I'm inviting you to participate so that we can have more often of a, I don't want to be the only one speaking or engaging in the room. Okay. I'm seeing Copilot, ChatGPT. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to move to the next slide here. And ChatGPT. Yeah, I'm seeing that from Rainford. And this next slide here, this is me pulling together some of the common ones. And these common ones, I've seen some of them mentioned in the chat, ChatGPT. And of course, there are two versions of ChatGPT. There's the 3 that's free and the 4 that's paid. Canva. So if you've used Canva, Canva does have AI capabilities. DALL-E, Copilot, which I saw Julie mentioned. In addition, we do have, in this teal looking box, it's kind of giving you an idea of what their strengths are, what they're most known for here as well. And then it continues. There's Midjourney, Synthesia, Gemini. Gemini is Google. It used to be called Bard, but now it's been upgraded to Gemini. It also has a paid and free version. And there's a new one that's coming, that's out, that's quite powerful. That's Sora. I took a look at it this week. And of course, there are many that I haven't mentioned here. And of course, there are many that are to come. So they get better and better with each output. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the next question that I had here for the poll. just go through this to get to it here. And I know some of us on here are in faith-based communities, some of us may not, but I want you to just type in the chat something that, if you are in a faith-based community, what is your current role or your past role? What is that for you? What does that look like for you? So I mentioned earlier that I am in children's ministries. That has always been where I've found myself in one way or the other. We have Rainford as elder. Clem, what are you? Donovan is family life. Okay. So AI has capabilities to help every ministry in the church. Again, because this is a faith-based conversation, that's where I'll focus it on. But we do know that it touches all aspects of our life. We have Sabbath school, we have pastor's wife, shepherdess. So we have different roles in the room where ministry is concerned. So I'm just going to share a little about my experience. So how have I used AI in my experience, in my role as a person in faith? So I'll share two examples. So my first example here is my son and I, we have a ministry that we started last fall, and it's focused on feeding the homeless in the community. So what you're looking at on the screen, it is AI generated. The title of our ministry was from AI. So I put into AI the idea that we had and asked AI to generate titles. What should we call ourselves? And AI came up with it came up with several different names, but we both liked Little Blessings Brigade. So that's the name that we chose from AI. So we went a bit further and we like, okay, this is our name. Generate a logo for Little Blessings Brigade and add the name to the logo. And this is what the output was. I am pleased with the result. We both like it. And this is one way that I have used AI in my experience with ministry. Thank you, Andrew. And so the next slide here is another experience of using AI. So last week, we have a roster for children's ministry, but for some reason I didn't recognize that it was my week to do children's ministry. So the Friday night I was preparing for the program, and the topic, if you're in children's ministry, or if you have children in the primary lesson, was streams of blessings. And the craft that was presented in the lesson was not something that I thought was engaging enough. So I turned to AI to help me to figure out something that I thought was more appropriate. So I told AI what the main objective was. And as you can see, the main objective was that the children will know that God can supply our needs. So I put that into ChatGPT. The U at the top is me. Biblecraft for Kids, idea for God supplies all our needs. AI went to work, and Clem was at church. The kids were able to, the idea that was generated was that create some trees. So we used brown cardstock to cut out some trees. We used green construction paper for the leaves, and the children were able to write personally on their leaves the needs that God supplied for them. And they were able to share this with the church, and it was well received. And the children were also able to write the Bible verse on the trunk of the trees. So it gave us the idea, but you can build on the idea by adding more things that will make it even more applicable to the needs of your audience or whoever you're working with. Is this logo now the church's, or can AI claim ownership? Great question. So it depends on which platform you're using. Okay. So for example, Copilot, which is Bing, Microsoft, their copyright rules are different from the ChatGPT. So ChatGPT grants you ownership of what you create. Bing, our Copilot, embedded within their image, I believe, are codes which give them ownership of your image. You can use it freely, but I do know, like in the creative groups that I'm a part of, they do encourage you, if you're selling these images or if you're using them for income or whatever resource, please do not use Bing as that source. Bing is free, which could be one of the reasons that they're a bit more strict on their copyright. But great question, Elrica. Each platform has their own copyright rules, so you have to familiarize yourself with that. Which platform did I use to generate the story ideas? That was ChatGPT. So ChatGPT was the platform that I was using for the children craft that we did last Sabbath at church. Okay. So I'm just going to move on now to what are some of the opportunities that AI brings to the front for us. And I'm going to be a bit general in some of these, and I may go a bit quickly through them because I also want to demonstrate some of these programs in use so that you can see how they operate. So from my experience, and from the typical, AI allows you to create custom learning materials. This could be in the form of, as you saw, I was able to put in a specific objective, and it generated a specific craft based on what I needed for a learning experience with the children. AI, depending again on which program you're using, their capabilities are different. So the free version of ChatGPT, which is ChatGPT 3, is text-based. So everything that you get will be text. If you pay for the advanced version, you elevate what you're going to get, and the elevation is pretty strong. It has the ability to generate quizzes, worksheets, work with plugins, and so the creativity gets a bit more advanced. What else can you use it for in faith-based communities? For language simplification. So I have used it with my own son when we were going through the 27th or 28 fundamental beliefs of the Seventh-day Adventist Church as he was getting ready for baptism. What I did was take each belief, I embedded it in ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to create a Bible story or find a Bible story that echoed that particular belief. And we came up with 28 stories. Some of them I wouldn't have even thought about that were so much aligned to the beliefs that we have as I probably didn't mention, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist for those who don't know. So I simplified it for it to be age appropriate, for him to be able to better consume what we believe in. The other thing about it is that it does allow for creative content creation. I've seen people use it to write poems, songs, or so. It can provide the framework for it, and then you can improve on it so that it has more of your voice added to it. Other uses, language translation services. It has a strong sense of languages and accuracy. And so it can translate church communications into different languages for distribution. If you're having an event at the church, and if you live in a community where the primary language may not be English for a lot of the folks that live there, this is a great way to use the tool. Have it translate and create a flyer in a different language and get that information out to invite folks to it. It could be a food bank, it could be a kids event, whatever is happening. That's one way you can use the system to enhance ministry. It's also very great at event planning and promotion. So you simply type in the event that you want and ask ChatGPT to plan it from start to finish, and then you flesh it out the way you want. So that's another way you can use it. If you're promoting something and you're struggling with the language around it, you can also be very specific in your prompt that you put into the system, and it will be able to generate that for you. Another piece to ChatGPT, and I think this is probably my favorite part of ChatGPT, is that it allows you to create your own GPT. And so there is a growing market surrounding this where you create your own GPT and you program it to be your assistant based on what you would like to achieve. And I will show you a few of the ones that I've created and how they work. So I think the potential for this is big. So when I show it, it may fall in line better for you to better understand what it is. But what you do basically is you go in and you design and tell the system how to respond to queries. It's great because it allows you, for example, let's say you wanted to have a GPT that's focused on mental health from a biblical perspective or a Christian perspective. You can program that GPT that when someone engages with it, it provides even a Bible verse that's aligned with how they're feeling, and also tips on how to improve on their state of being at that particular moment. But it always gives the disclaimer that I am not a mental health nurse or a mental health practitioner. So go ahead. If this hasn't improved your situation, please consult with someone who is trained in that field. So the capabilities for this are really, really big. In addition, it improves efficiency. It saves time on projects and presentation. And as I shared earlier about my experience last Friday night, I was able to go to my bed earlier because I didn't have to stay up all night trying to figure out what kind of craft I needed to use on such a short notice. So it does save time. I use it as well for work. Sometimes when I'm struggling with a topic or so, and it does save me time and gives me time to put back in something else. I've done this already, so this is a repeat here. So those other two came up as a repeat on this slide. I came across this this image online as well when I was preparing for this presentation. And this does give some other uses. So administrative tasks, record keeping, finance management, creative content production, which includes graphic design, video production, social media content, outreach and evangelism, because you can use it for digital marketing, community engagement, and online evangelism, worship and sermon preparation. You can use it for sermon research. Sometimes you may have to be digging through books and pages of information to prepare for a sermon or a presentation. This is one way to get ChatGPT to do that work for you. But of course, within reason, using that to prepare for what God has placed on your heart. It can also edit your sermon. So if formerly we've been using Grammarly a lot, now you can simply put your sermon, copy and paste it into ChatGPT or whichever platform you're using. Sorry, I say ChatGPT a lot because of course that's the one that I use the most. And ask it to run an edit. It can also fix the tone. So if your tone is too professional, if you tend to write too professional, too high level, you can say, can you make this tone more friendly? My audience are teens or children, so can you fix the tone in this content so that it suits the needs of my audience? So that's also the capability that it has. And of course, you can see further down on the list, pastoral care and counseling, educational programs, youth and children's ministries, church communication, data analysis, and church growth strategies. So those are just some of the ways ChatGPT can be used in ministry. I'm excited about it. I think everybody I know, when I get an opportunity, I will encourage them to learn about AI. Don't resist knowledge. Like anything else, it's a tool in our hands. and we determine how we're going to use it based on our values and our morals. And that should be the guiding principle, I believe, when it comes to navigating AI. So I'll pause for a moment to see if there are any questions before I go to the next phase of the presentation. Any questions, any comments, any way you have used it that you would like to share with us? Sure, I am open to that as well. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be stopping the sharing on this screen, and I'm going to be going into onto my web browser. So let me just stop sharing for a moment. Please bear with me. I'm going to be going live with the with some of the tools so that we can see them working. And if I'm looking away from you, my apologies. I'm using a few systems, so sometimes I have to things around. So where is that? Okay, so I'm just going to share here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go down the list a bit. I'm going to pull Canva up a bit more on here and Sora. I'm going to be doing a tab by tab experience. So the first one that I'm going to share is Copilot. And I know we have a few, Julie has used Copilot. So Copilot is Microsoft's Bing, and Copilot is operating out of Bing. So when you click on Copilot, just this over here. On the right hand here, you see Copilot, and it's free. So this one, you don't need any money for it. So let's play around it with this tool for a while, and feel free to type in the chat box anything that you'd like me to add to these systems based on faith-based ministry. So let's say for this one, we are having, yes,
We
please.
don't see, I think, the screen.
What we're seeing is the canvas, canvas.com.
Okay, so let me stop sharing. Thank you for that. And let me share again. Are you seeing the right screen?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. So let me go back to the beginning. Thanks. So this is how I'm accessing Copilot. You can type it in Google too, it will come up. And Copilot, on the right, it's giving you some of the different things or different GPTs that are available under the Copilot banner. So let's say we want to ask it something faith-based. So let's say we want to plan, let's say we would like Copilot to help us to prepare a program for at-risk youth mental health. Again, prompts, the more detailed you are, the better it is. Their ages, 12 to 18, diverse group. Plan should include summer activities to keep them engaged for at least 2 hours. Create an agenda as well. So let's see how Copilot responds to this. And I'm going to copy this prompt because I want to use it as well in other programs. So what it's doing now, it's thinking. And here you see, it's taken your information. It's used the time that you've given it, and it's breaking down that agenda for you. So this is Copilot at work. Isn't that amazing? What you can do now is you can take this information, you simply click on copy, which is right here. You can even rate it. Was it good? Was it not good? One of the advantages of Copilot, or one of the pros or positives of Copilot, is that it tends to give you some of the sources or some other places you can go for information about what you have typed in. And it will say learn more and list those references or additional resources. It can read aloud. So if it does cater to accommodations for if there's someone who is visually impaired, that accommodation can be met here. You can copy it, paste it into your document, and redevelop it according to how you would what your needs are. If there is something here that you don't like, maybe you will say, you know what, I don't want it for 2 hours. Can you redo just for an hour? You simply say redo this for an hour, for 1 hour instead. And it will do it over. It will modify it so that it fits within the time frame that you've asked it for. So this is a text-based approach to using the Copilot. So I'm going to switch over because time is going. And now this is the image-based. So we're going to kind of use the same idea. So prepare or create an image to be used in a flyer for at-risk youth, for don't mind my grammar tonight, for an at-risk youth mental health program. What is this? Let's see what it does. So it's creating the images. So here you have images that you can use in your program's flyer. No, I'm not presenting elder at the ministers convention. I will be an attendee at the ministers convention though. So this is one way in which you can use the program. Like if you want to plan a vacation, it plans it down to the T for you. If you have a health need where you need specific diet, it does that for you. I have used it for this. I say I want to whatever my health goals are, I've plugged it into ChatGPT. I've gotten the menu, and then I say, okay, create a grocery list from the menu that you've created so I know what to go out and buy, and it does it. So it's quite amazing. So this is Copilot. This is free. Again, the copyright changes from program to program. You can use their stuff for free, but so that's just something to bear in mind. Canva. Sorry, any questions?
Sorry,
before I
yeah, I
move on?
was gonna ask, I tried this, so this is the Microsoft Copilot, right?
Yes.
Um, I tried to create an image of some kind, but it says I have to sign in with a Microsoft account. So basically, if I don't have a Microsoft account, I just create one, and then it will create the images. Or do I have to pay like for
It's
any?
free. So it's an
So
Outlook account. So if you have an Outlook account,
oh, so this is the Outlook. Okay,
yeah. So this is mine, and it's just my email at outlook.com. And that will allow you, you'll sign in with it.
okay,
Okay. Good question. Thank you, Pastor.
thank you.
So the next one here is Canva. I don't know if it has changed, but I do believe Canva is free for not-for-profits. So a lot of churches don't pay for Canva because their nonprofits are not-for-profits.
It is. We have an account.
Good. Thanks for confirming that. So if you're in ministry and your church hasn't taken advantage of this, that's something to consider. So Canva has brought in a lot of AI capability tools. Magic Studio is an amazing place to be. So there is one of them that's called Magic Write, and I'm just going to demonstrate a few. I won't spend a lot of time here. I'll do the design for presentations. So let's do this one here. So again, let's do this. A presentation and empowering at youth risk in my community. It's searching. And so Magic Design creates PowerPoint for you. It has even embedded images for you right there in Canva. I think a lot of times we only use Canva for just the basic things, but it's such an amazing tool and it's getting better and better. This is like a good starting point for you to flesh out. If it doesn't suit your needs, you can always go back and ask it to do something else. This is another one. Let's see what this one is. Community change makers. So this is, again, a tool that a lot of us have. It's also embedded with a lot of AI-rich resources that we can use. I've also used it to create images as well. So let's say we'll use the same prompt that we used in the other one.
In here, sorry if I'm interrupting.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I can't. Sorry, I can't
I-
see hands. So
no, it's
just
fine.
go ahead and talk because I can't see if someone has raised their hands. Go ahead, please.
If I have like a written sermon in like a Word document, can I copy it in and ask the program to create a PowerPoint based on the sermon, or it's maybe too long?
I'm not sure. I've never tried that. That's
Okay.
something that I'd have to look into. I do know that Microsoft initially, when Bing Copilot came out, I heard that that would have been a capability of it. I've not tested it. That you could
Okay.
just put stuff in and that would then transform it into a PowerPoint for you. I haven't tried it in Canva, but I'm definitely going to try after this, and I'll let you know
Okay. Awesome.
if it
Thank you.
has that capability. So we're going to use the image creation here in Canva. So create a photo for at-risk youth mental health, showing a diverse group. Oh, that was there already. But anyway, there we go. And we ask Canva to do the image creation. It's not going to pull from what it already has. It's going to create something unique for you. There you go. What I encourage people to do is take a good look at your images because sometimes they're not perfect. Just as Julie said, sometimes it hallucinates. I think that is shown sometimes in its images. Sometimes the arms are in the wrong place, the eyes are disfigured. I find that a lot, especially in the Canva piece. So just take a good look at your images before you make them public. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to switch from Canva, but I would invite you to definitely go into Canva and explore the tools that it has. This section here that's called apps, it has a plethora of apps that are AI powered, that are integrated within Canva to do amazing work for you right in Canva. So make use of Canva. So I'm going to move on. Any questions? Okay. Sora is new. I wasn't able to try it out, so I'm suspecting it hasn't been launched yet. But this is going to change the play feel as well, because has the ability to create cinematic type videos using text prompt. And so this is something to look out for as well. So I'll go quickly from Sora, just trying to see who's behind this. Systems. Okay. So we've done that. So now I'm going to go to my favorite, which is ChatGPT. Okay. So I must say that I have the paid version of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT 3.5, it's free. It's still really good. We can type the same prompt in here and it will develop that for you. There you go. You can compare both and see how they differ in the output. This is even giving you a schedule, a program logistic, like where you're having it, the staff, the resources that you need. If there's something here, for example, it said resources, provide necessary materials for each activity. So I can say, expand on the resources that's needed. Create a list. And what it does is that it will take a look at everything that it has listed, for example, movie night, yoga, and then it's going to look at what's needed for each of those things, as you can see here. See, with yoga, it's going to tell you what you need for the yoga, what you need for the movie night, what you need for it's just really quite amazing how these systems operate. So this is the free version. The free version is primarily text. It will only give you text. So now I'm going to go a bit more into the paid version. The paid version takes it up quite a high level. So remember when I told you that my profile, my resume was from what I did was uploaded my resume in ChatGPT today and asked ChatGPT to write a bio about me, and it did that. And that bio, I shared it earlier to show how it did that. So what it does allow you to attach resources in here, and you can ask it to summarize. If you have like any document, you can put it in here. I don't have one off the bat right now to add. But you can put a document in here and ask it to summarize. Let me just see if I can find one quickly. Hold on. That's not too sensitive with privacy issues. So let me see here. Just bear with me. Let me grab something. Okay. So I'm going to upload this document and I'm going to ask summarize the key points. What it's doing is it is reading this document and pulling out the key points from the article. The document that I shared was a prompt guide, how to write prompts. and I can send that by email to everyone after if you share your email address. And see, it pulls out the key pieces of this article and summarizes it for us. Only in the paid one. And that's why it has the attached feature compared to the paid one. So the other thing about it is there's so much to share about this thing, but I'll go as well and share that people can actually make personal GPTs, and I mentioned that earlier. And so I'll share one from one of a creatives that I'm a part of her group. I know it's over time. If you have to leave, feel free to do so. I'll just continue just simply because I'd like to share a bit more, and I do have the time. Tomorrow is not a school day for my son, so that makes it even better. She has a, is that the one? So okay, I'll just try this one. So this one, when you create a GPT, you can actually name it. So this is created by this particular person, and you will always have like a few ideas, but you can ask it to. I don't think this one will work for what I'm trying to do. It's right there. Let's go to the regular one. Oh, here we are. It's right at the top. So, again, I'm going to use our same. No, I lost my page. Create an image of children in worship. Make the image diverse. Show some praying and some reading the Bible, for example. And then ChatGPT is going to perform the work. So I do see a question here. It's around $31 per month for the GPT subscription. That's the Canadian amount. And that's the image it creates. With ChatGPT is you can click on the image, and when you go over to this icon here, it gives you the prompt. So this prompt, you can copy it and you can put it back in here and change anything that you don't like. Maybe you don't like the setting. The setting is serene. So maybe I want the setting to be, the setting is outdoor and it's sunny. And it will go back and it will do its work. You see the difference? So now they're outside on the grass, and you can just play with it until it becomes what you want. If you didn't like this image, you simply click on regenerate and it will do it again. It's creating a new image, and it's going to ask you, what do you need? Was this one better? Was this one worse or the same? So it's now recreating the image because maybe you didn't like it for one reason or the other. And so it gives you a different image for what you've asked it for. So another part about ChatGPT 4 is that it works with plugins. And plugins are like extensions. So it's working with other websites or browsers to help you even do much more in in ChatGPT. The number of plugins, it's crazy. It's a large list. It's not coming up here, but it does have a wide selection of plugins. So this one, I'm going to show you this plugin. It's Vizsla, and I'm going to ask, create a video of children in worship using Vizsla. tells the title of the video, Children in Worship, Moments of Joy and Devotion. And because it's a plugin, it's going to take me out of the ChatGPT to the Vizsla site, but it has created the video based on what I've asked it to. And so it's generating that for me. So I know people say ChatGPT 4 is for images and text, but because of the plugin capabilities, it can do Excel sheets, it can do Canva. Canva is a plugin within ChatGPT as well, and it has video capabilities. And so there you go. It's created a video and it has the transcript
In the embrace of faith, children
there
find
as well. I'm not sure you can hear the sound because I didn't share audio. So the capabilities are really far-reaching. I mentioned that it also allows you to create your own GPT, and I'm going to show you a few that I've created. I'm going to start because I know a lot of us in this room are of similar faith. I'm going to share one that I created that's called White's Insights, and what this basically does is it scans all of LNG White's books and provides at least 4 quotes based on a topic that you've asked it for. So let's say that I wanted quotes on if anybody shout a topic, quotes LNG quotes on healthy eating, healthy eating. Now it's going to scan all her books and find quotes. Until it tells you exactly where the quote is coming from. So there's one from Testimonies for the Church, one from Ministry of Healing, Counsels on Diets and Food. The capabilities for this, I customized this. I built this GPT from the scratch. So churches have this capability. If you have the paid version of ChatGPT, you can create a Bible study tool for outreach. You can create a question and answer about doctrines, whatever it is. You can be creative in how you build a GPT. One of the other ones that I created here, and I'll just go down a bit. Scripture Companion. And this one, the goal for this one is to provide Bible text based on your emotions and your challenges. So let's say I put in here that I am feeling happy. ChatGPT is now going to find some text that goes with that. So you can even say find 3 texts if you don't want one. You can tell it how much the output should be. Another one that I'd like to share is Come Alive Bible Characters. And for me, when I've been in ministry, a lot of times when I work with children, I struggle to find images that look like me. And I mean many people can probably relate to that. And so for me, I wanted to have images generating Bible characters as African Americans so that our children, especially depending on where you're working, they can see themselves in some of what we do. And so I'll just use what it provides here. And what it does is that it will generate, or it should, because sometimes it hallucinates, it will generate images based on that. you see the little boy, you can see his fro, so you know it's realistic as it tried to do. So yeah, so these are just some of the ways that ChatGPT can be used in ministry. And I invite you to take a closer look at this resource. I'm going to go back because it's almost 8:15, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. Just a moment here. I'm just going to stop sharing here for a while, and then okay. So I'm back to the PowerPoint, and I'm just going to skip through just to the last slide that I have here, which are some resources. I can send these again by email to whoever would like to have these resources. They do speak to faith, and there's a really good one here that I like. Where is it? Unlock the Power of AI. It's a starter guide for pastors. It's really good, but you can learn from it nonetheless. It does go through basic how to write prompts, how to use them for different purposes, as well as the AI and the Church Hub. They have quite a lot of resources there as well. So that takes me to the end of my talking piece based on the slides. And so I'll open the floor to any questions that you may have. Okay, so I see some email addresses coming in. Let me just copy them before I lose them. Okay, so
Do they just put our email in the chat, or how do we do get them?
you can email, put them in the chat. You can direct message me them in the chat.
I'm fine putting it there.
Good question, Brother Bowen. It is getting information from resources that already exist. So the risk of plagiarism does exist. So you still have to do your due diligence when it comes to these. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning. These are tools in your hands. You have to use the tools based on ethics and morals, and make sure that you're aligned with that, with your sense of purpose where that's concerned. So that it is in itself a good question as well. I will share this quote. Artificial intelligence is not a substitute for human intelligence. It is a tool to amplify human creativity and ingenuity. And so that's the quote that I would like to end tonight's session with, if there are no other questions. So thank you. Thank you for spending your night with me. And I hope that you found the session to be informative, engaging, and that you learned something from tonight's session.
Thank you very much, Nikisha. I
You're
have
welcome,
a question.
Go ahead.
Now, could I create my music program and tell this to play it when I'm out of the country?
To play it when you're out of the country? For the church, you mean? That's something that we would have to explore more, but I'm up for the challenge to see what the tool has.
My monthly music program.
I don't know.
I'm looking for something to say, well, if I'm in Jamaica or in the United States, I don't have access to all my program with me, and I already have it all set up. So I was looking for a way to say, okay, like next week is my music program, week after next is my music program,
Yes.
and I have all my music selector ready. But my laptop is giving problems, so I have a desktop, everything's on a desktop. So while I'm in the States, how am I going to access my program?
Let's look at that offline. So when I see you, or so we can look at it together and see what solutions may possibly be there for that. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so again, there are no other pressing questions. Thank you everyone for your attention and participation in tonight's session. And stay tuned for future sessions. I'm more than willing to go a bit deeper where this is concerned on future presentations. Thank you and have a good night.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you too.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
It was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It really
night.
opens the eye to a lot of avenue I was looking for. So we'll talk some more about that.
Awesome. Sounds good. So the recording, I'll have to share it, Alrika, via YouTube. I've recorded it, so I'll have to add it to YouTube and then share the link. So that's why sending those email addresses are important so that I can get it out to everyone. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you. Have a
All
good
right,
night.
good night.
Take care. Bye.